Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Hangin with Hobo live. So, thank you each and everyone for being here. There are much better places you could probably be, but thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. So, this live stream, we're going to go over, and I had a crazy idea while I was waiting to go live. I said, I might try something new, entirely different that we haven't done yet. It's going to go hand in hand with this concept. But this basket was a request. And again, I've told y'all for many times, seen something on Facebook and said, hey, can you recreate this spiral basket? I would like to know how. And I have struggled with trying to create a spiral in Lightburn for the last 3 years. And I said, all right, good time to tackle that once and for all. And I studied on it and studied on it and studied on it. And then got up and walked away. And then pow, it hit me. It's so simple. It's the easiest thing in the world. And sure enough, it is very, very simple. And if you haven't seen that video, you want to go back and watch that. It's a short one. In fact, it was not a project video. It was never intended to be a project video. It was just how to create a spiral in Lightburn. But that video has garnered lots of requests and lots of emails going, well, hey, how'd you make that basket base? How'd you make that? How'd you do that? How'd you get that? And it's real simple. And that's what we're going to go over here. But I had an idea while I was waiting to go live. I said, all right, the spiral is really kind of cool. And it's only attached in the 4 spots in the bottom and then 4 spots up here. All these spirals in the middle here, they're floating. There's absolutely nothing that's attaching these. They're just sitting there supported by the frame. I got thinking though, I've done some other baskets. They were offsets and they just, twisted and interlocked with each other. And those are really cool too. I said, what about a combination of the two concepts? That'd be kind of cool to do, because this is a round basket. If you want to call it a basket, it's not a bowl. But I said, what about geometric shapes that had an underlying support, but then they wouldn't be free floating? You would need to create supports for it all the way down and space them where you want it. That should be kind of cool. So we're going to try and do that in this stream too. I talked to you a little bit about what's going on, and I want to get your feedback and some input from you about the new direction, not direction, but the new information, the new toy, the CNC and Mill Mage. Several of you have expressed concern about seeing Mill Mage being brought into this channel with the lasers and Lightburn. And some of you have just flat out said, I have no interest in seeing that, and I don't want to be bothered with that. And I'm afraid that and there's no way to separate it on YouTube itself. When I upload a video as Hobo with Wood, I can put them in different playlists. So you can watch all of the videos in a given playlist. But if I post a new channel or a new video on Hobo with Wood, and it's dealing with Mill Mage, everybody who's only interested in Lightburn is still going to get the alert. And I'm afraid people might go, I'm tired of getting this. I don't want to see it. So they unsubscribe because they're starting to see stuff they don't want to see. So with that thought process, I had already kind of thought about it, but I think I'm going to start a separate channel that'll be just for Mill Mage and just for CNC engraving. And what your thoughts on that? And then also, I'm curious for name suggestions for that channel. And as it says there in the bottom, if you've got a comment, put your comments with 3 exclamation points that you want me to see, questions with question marks in front of your question or comment. But I'm interested in your thoughts on, should I do a separate channel? And name suggestions for that channel, because names are important. And I would like to, I want to definitely, I'm still Hobo with Wood, because I'll be making wood projects with CNC. But it needs to be identifiable as, a separate form of, or, channel of and information and project ideas, CNC related or mill mage related, so on and so forth. But today is going to be Lightburn. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I did with the CNC router. And I'm going to be, and just if you haven't seen it yet, I will be giving away the CNC router package, the Cubico router package, on the 27th of this month. Now, unfortunately for you guys in this time slot, a lot of you are in Scotland, in Denmark, in New Zealand. You're all over the place right now. And it's too cost prohibitive to ship this from North Carolina internationally. You can buy one for practically what the freight would be just to ship it to you. So this is going to be something that I give away here in the US, but it will be on the 27th. And it's a complete package setup. It's the Cubico CNC engraver, the dust shoe for vacuum attachment, starter bit set for PCB boards. Comes with some starter bits, V bits, and a couple of drill bits. And I've got a 5.5 watt laser attachment that goes, you take them spindle off, put the laser on it. So it is a 5.5 watt laser, and it's a router. And I've got the increased, it comes with only a 10,000 RPM router. I got the optional upgraded 20,000 RPM spindle router to go with it. So it'll come with two routers. You have the 10,000, the 20,000, plus the laser module, plus the dust shoe, plus starter bit sets, which they're okay for starter bit sets, but they're junk. I learned that right out of the gate. They're not the best. And I'm going to be getting some of the IDC end mills and some of their bits this week or next week, I hope. They ain't cheap, but you get what you pay for. And I've learned that really, it doesn't matter how nice of a machine you got. And the Cubico it's a fun little machine, and you can do some really nice stuff with it. For example, these are the Argentine Argentine Osage orange plaques that I was making, that was doing for CNC engrave or for laser engraving. Now, I had a bunch of odd pieces that either had, like this one's got some imperfection in it, and it's also an odd shape. It's not 5x7. These were the end cutoff pieces. But I said, I'll hold on to them. And I've got a bunch of these, and I put one of them in the Cubico. And this, I forget, my very, very first piece was a little 3mm piece of basswood. I just did a little geometric shape in it just to make everything work. But this was my first actual project, and I'm really, really pleased with how well it turned out. But this is using a piece of that cutoff. Now, it's irregular shape. It's not 4x3. Two of the angles are a little bit obtuse, so it's not truly a rectangle, and so it makes it look a little out of square when actually it is square. The rectangle's not got 90-degree corners on it. But a little coin tray, and I did a relief in there with the U.S. flag, and I really, really am pleased with how well it turned out, because I got all 50 of the stars in there and no blowout, and those are tiny. Those are only about 1 millimeter each. So you can do with, because it is such a small, teeny tiny machine, you can do some really detailed stuff with it. So it's a learning tool for me to learn how to use Mill Mage, and then share that information with anybody on potentially the new channel that wants to learn how to use Mill Mage and CNC work. And whoever wins this one, definitely would want to subscribe and learn along with me, because I have no training in CNC work. None of us have any training in Mill Mage. So it's going to be a learning curve from the gun, right off the starting gun. It's all new mistakes, all new. In fact, my very first video that I'm going to put up this week, there was some losses. Let's just put it that way. There were some losses this week, and I'm actually half tempted to go after Cubico to look for reimbursement because these were preventable losses that is a little bit on their end, not mine. But that's this week's video. But that was pretty cool. And for as small of a machine it is, some of the perfect stuff to learn with and not spend a whole lot of money, because that was the whole idea with this. Is it's something that if you get a great big machine, you using great big material, and the work areas are large. It's not possible to strap down a little 4x4 piece of material on a machine that's designed for 4 foot by 4 foot material. It's cumbersome. It's too big for that. So this one, you're using little 1/8 inch bits, and it's a small work area. So you can get these little coaster packs from Hobby Lobby for, like $5. And I was laser engraving them and doing stuff, but I said, these are perfect also for CNC work. So I did laser engrave on one side and then flip it. And that time I had some blowout and the stars got chipped out on that because this basswood was not strong enough to hold up. I don't know if it's bass. I think it's basswood. Didn't hold up like the Osage Orange did. And I'm learning to do some 3D relief stuff. Learning limitations, how thin those lines are and those letters. They were just too small for the bits in my setup. But that one turned out really nice. I was able to maintain all of the stars and, got it cleaned up, looking good. So it's going to be a new adventure. And I'm curious how many of you would subscribe to the new channel and how many of you got interest in the CNC world. I think it's going to be fun. And I seen an interesting video yesterday from, I think it's Steve Makes Everything. He actually posted a video, said that we're witnessing the end of diode lasers. Diode lasers have come, dominated, and now it's dying. He even cited Rowley as being, one of the first ones to leave the industry, and another one. And he's talking about everybody's there. They've kind of maxed out the potential, and there's nothing new coming out. There's no new technology, and it's kind of like, all right, it's hit the peak of the hill, and now it's descending, and we're going to be witnessing the end of all diode lasers probably before the end of next year anyway. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that's all the more reason, if you are a Rolly user, grab all the spare parts you can while you can and keep your Rolly in good working condition. So with all that, we got enough of you in here finally. We're going to get over here to Lightburn, and we'll scroll down and look at the comments. Hello to everybody that said hello. Looking for any questions or comments before we jump in to Lightburn and look at this. Steve, did you get your? If that was from, I got a package yesterday, and there was no note in there, no nothing. I did get a package, so if that was from yours, thank you. I did receive a pack of Baltic birch yesterday. Thank you. I thought those were exclamation points, but they're Illinois. Mill Mage with Hobo. Yeah, I want to. And Robert saying yes, definitely second channel, and Terry second channel. All right. And like I said, I had that seems to be kind of the going. Hobo playing with wood. Hobo with wood CNC edition. Hobo concocted. Using Mill Mage as main part of name will make it harder for people looking for CNC to find. Needs to have CNC in the name. Yeah, Chris, I'm with you there, but I also I'm reached out to. I haven't heard from him, I reached out to Oz and let him know that the potential of a new uh, version of Hobo with Wood tackling Mill Mage and creating this YouTube channel and the learning curve around it, and asking me if he'd have any interest at all in some type of making it an official spot to go and get learning new information. But I haven't heard anything from him yet. But I think because it is a brand new software, and I think especially, and this is to every laser engraver out there right now, if you've ever played with any of the software for the CNC control stuff, there was a bunch of it out there: the Vectric, the V-Carve, the easel. And there's a whole lot more. The first, and because I bought a CNC, I think within weeks after purchasing the laser, I can't afford the software. The software is redonkulously expensive if you want to do really quality, impressive work. And so I can't afford that. And so it's been sitting there for 3 years collecting dust. Now that and 2 years ago, I got super excited about Mill Mage, and finally, here we are. It's finally out. And I was tickled to death at how easy it was to start learning Mill Mage, because I already have a foundational knowledge of a Lightburn, and they are a whole lot alike in many, 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 many ways. And what's even more beautiful is because they are cousins, brothers, stepbrothers. Now they're better than stepbrothers. They're blood. You can import your files and artwork from Lightburn into Mill Mage, so you don't have to go and recreate all of the artwork. You can just bring it in, and you just got to start creating your operations and layers if you want to. It's going to be fun. So I think that it's going to be a potential boom of a channel for people who want to learn CNC work, because it's so inexpensive. It's just like Lightburn, and the cost is low, and it's ease in use. There is going to be a huge learning curve on learning what different tools do and how they work, and what type of end mill does what, and what operations do what. There's a whole lot of information that's nothing like Lightburn, but it ain't rocket science. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. Andrew says, Hobo with sawdust. Hobo with the CNC. Hobo with wood CNC. Hobo's CNC glitter. CNC man glitter. Hobo, I don't follow that one, Chris. Hobo with wood. Yeah. And I'm reading that as concocted, or yeah. Hobo with wood. I don't know exactly where you're going with that one either, Terry. Let's see here. Yeah, I hear you. Hobo with CNC milled wood, CNC adventures. I kind of like that, Craig. I kind of like that. I don't have Lightburn in the name now, but people have just kind of, you go to Hobo with Wood for Lightburn tips and lasers. I like that one. I like that one. Oh, yeah, it's pretty good, Craig. Get yourself a cardboard cookie, or go engrave you one. And Peter says, I'll subscribe. Well, V, you should subscribe even if you think that you might, because these are not the Cubicos. They're not expensive. Even buying them now outright, they're not expensive. And and something like that small, and it's actually a pretty I mean, the precision that I'm getting out of it is pretty darn good. Uh, the repeatability of it, it's in a lot of ways it's similar to the Rolly in the fact that it's got multiple homing switches, and then once you figure out and you've learned the proper setup techniques and everything's bolted down in place, and you send the job out 4 and 5 times if you have to till you get what you're looking for, if you haven't done too much to begin with. But yeah, you subscribe and watch it and see if it's something that you might, because in fact, if the diodes end up going bye-bye, then it might be the next thing you want to tackle. And Sharon's claiming it. She's claiming it. Yeah, I saw that and cringed when he said Rolly was dying, not closing with reason. Yeah. And I did not comment on the video because it's not my place to share any information with anybody about what's going on with Leo. If Leo's seen it and he wanted to correct it, and that's his business. Hobo in 3D, that people would need to have multiple screens to get all of that in. Can you do 3D with MillMage? John, I don't know if and Chris can probably answer more correctly, because I'm still learning and I got a gnat flying around. I don't know if you can do a true 3D in MillMage yet, but you can do multiple operations of the same image. And that's what I did with this one. And I got it inverted because it was my first attempt, and my plan was to have the globe and the eagle and the anchor the highest point on the relief. And you can see some of it's deeper than the rest of it. I just got it backward. You could do multiple operations with varying depths. And if you use the right end mill with, possibly a ball nose to where you can only really see much of a transition from one operation to the next, you can create a 3D relief with multiple operations. But I think a true 3D, which again, I don't know, I'm still learning. It might do all that with just one operation. But here I've done 4 operations to create a similar type effect. I just had it inverted. Hobo teaches MillMage. Glitter, man glitter. Oh, man glitter. Yes, is another name for sawdust. Yes. Yeah, concocted was right. All right, let's see. The Cubico is a quality learning machine to see if CNC. Yeah, it is. And that's why I did it, because I've got a huge loss that's been sitting in there for 3 years. $2,000 sitting there for 3 years and hasn't been turned on. So, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But it was just too expensive to continue to try and learn on that huge machine. And it's not even that huge. It's it's larger X-Carve, but it's not like some of the stuff that Clack gets. I can't crawl up in there and lay down in it. Let's see here. Yeah, no 3D as of yet, but it's coming. How deep will it carve in a single pass? I think it depends on the bit you're using. I think that's all, and I'm still learning. This is going to be an interesting journey, but I think it's all about the bit and the spindle speed, the feed rate, and what. But I've done, I think 2 mil. And for this little detail work I'm doing, I'm using just a little 20-degree V cut. I don't have any of the nice bits yet, so some of those. Like the Jenny bits and some of those rough end bits, man, you can just go in there and just go at it and blast that material out of there. And Chris says, yeah, I like the fact they did inlays first. And that's something else I'm going to tackle this week is some inlays. Hobo's CNC trials and tribulations. I don't even want to think about trials and tribulations. Yeah, that one don't sit well with me. I got enough trials and tribulations in life. I don't want to bring it into my YouTube world. All right, so yes, so I'm getting back enough from you there. Yes, we'll do a separate channel completely. I like Craig's name there. So anyway, I'll start that. And my first YouTube video on the Cubico is going to be the great losses, and it's going to be entertaining. Even if you are not interested in CNC, you should subscribe just to watch this coming video. It's going to be funny. All right, now let's get into this work. And Chris verified what I said. Spindle and bit determines single pass depth. Yeah. All right. So if you haven't downloaded that file, because I showed you how to create the spiral. And then because he actually requested that very specific basket, I created that and put it online, and he is a gold patron. I remember that. And I recreated it, done it. Here's how you do the spiral, and the file's online. You can go grab it and jump it and download it. But now we're going to look at the actual file and how I created the support system for it. And we will look at doing an entirely different concept using polygons instead of a spiral. And the idea I have, I think we should be able to get a decent basket out of a decent size basket, something like that, out of 2 pieces of material, or actually 1.5 pieces of material. So let's jump over here to Lightburn. And this is the actual file that is associated with this particular basket. And I have it set up on a single piece of 12 by 19 and got that out of 1 piece. And I used for this basket the pre-finished MDF from Craft Closet. And I spoke to them this week about why theirs is so good. What makes their MDF special? And he acknowledged the same thing that I have experienced with MDF. I've mentioned to you in previous videos and over the years, I will not use MDF. It's garbage. It's junk. You can't cut through it. It's inconsistent. It's terrible. And Craft Closet, the guy I spoke with there, he's like, yeah, he says, yeah, in our early days, we went down those same paths, and they did a bunch of research and a bunch of trial and error, and finally ended up getting the right source and the right mixture and the right compound that makes it a laser friendly MDF. It cuts really easy and without a whole lot of burning, and it's just really, really good stuff. I don't have a link for them. I'm not paid to tell you this. I'm not, and in fact, whenever I reached out to him about something, I asked him about what was the best way to have you as my viewers get their material. Would he prefer they go to Amazon, which I shared an Amazon link with you? And if you use that Amazon link, then I do get a few pennies from that. But he said, no, you as a viewer and an end user, you're better off going to Craft Closet's website and buying it direct from them. You can get it cheaper, and it's you got a lower price buying it direct from them, and they're not having to pay a commission to Amazon for any of their involvement. So Craft Closet, and go over and get, and their 3mm MDF, really, really, really good stuff. And it's, like I said, it was pre-finished both sides. So once it cut it out, I just had to assemble it and it's done. And it got all kind of colors and different patterns and all kinds of good stuff. And it's available in a 12 by 19 sheet. And if you've got an XW or any machine that you can put that on there, you can lay it on there, plop it down, cut it out, done, pick it up, you're done. You can still do it on 12 by 12 material, because our spiral is 11.6 at its widest. And I did that intentionally because that was only 12 tall. So even though I can get 12 by 19, if I kept it all under 12 inches, then even with our 300 by 300 material, you can make that out of one piece. And Rusty Nails, you can redesign the basket frame with holes in the top and make it a hanging basket. Yeah, you definitely still need the supports. And that's what I was going to talk about on these the supports, how you can redesign those when we do these now and add some flair to it and some different designs. So let's get back over here. All right, so the question was that kept coming up was, okay, great, you've created the spiral, and we're not going to go over that in this video, but everybody was like, well, how did you get the slots? How did you get everything lined up? And how did you get the supports done? Well, let's ungroup this. Actually, we're going to duplicate it and take that over here, and then we'll come back over to this one, and it is ungrouped. So let's get rid of these, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to get rid of these nodes that created that slot. Oh, didn't want to do that. Undo, Control Z. There we go. If I want to keep that radius, I've got to have that one. So I'm going to select that and letter D. There we go. All right, so there is the spiral. If you watch the video from this week, this is a spiral that I show you how to create. And then the big question was, how did you recreate, or how did you set these up? How did you get the geometry? How did you place the slots? How did you do that? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. So same thing. If I want to maintain and be able to get this out of a 12 by 12 piece of material, this opening in here, the size of this inner radius is going to determine the size of the top opening of your basket. From looking at it from the top down, because it's a spiral, you can bring these in, as tight as you would like within reason. So there's not like a absolute fixed, it has to be 10 inches or 12 inches or whatever. So it's just a matter of what's going to work in the material, or what size do you want it to be, because you can flex and twist that like a slinky within reason. So my main limitation is my material. So if I'm working on a 12-inch piece or a 300 millimeter piece, then I know that I can't have the outside of this be any larger than that. And I wanted to have this be a perfect spherical shape. So I grab and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to rotate this. I've selected both of those pieces, and I'm going to use my greater than and just rotate that one time and bring that to where I've got my end pieces on the left and right side of that. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this toolpath. We'll bring this to the center of the page. And now if I draw a circle, get my ellipse tool, and I come over here to the outside of this, hold my shift key, and just draw straight across till I get to the other side right there. Put that on the red layer. All right, so now that is 11.6142, and if I look at this, it's a little bit larger, but it's still under 12 inches. So that would be my outer piece, and that's close enough. And I could take and say, okay, well, if that width is 11.2271, then I can just grab that and tell this to be, with the aspect ratio locked, 11.2271. Now that's the exact same overall diameter of that. Well, it's not there. I went with the wrong 11.64 642, 11.642. 11.642. There we go. So there you can see it's the exact same outer diameter. Now, this is not a spherical shape because these stick out further. You can see it's not what's that word? It's not symmetrical. There we go. It's not symmetrical because of the way that the spiral was created. But this is its largest measurement. Now, I don't need it to be a sphere. I only need half of that. So if I were to take and draw a straight line, any old size, and then put that line in the center of that circle, then use my scissor tools to cut that, and cut that. Now I've got my hemisphere, half of a circle there. And that's starting to be the shape of my bracket. But that's got to be the outermost piece because here I'm already at 11.6 inches. I don't have any room to go outside of that to create my support because my piece is only 12 inches wide. My material is only 12 inches wide. So I'm going to need to create an inward offset of this piece. Or I can take this and duplicate it, Control D, and then start arrowing it up. And as I arrow that up, I'm getting this shape. And I did not do this when I created these because you can see these are, in fact, symmetrical. But if you wanted to do something a little different, you could do it like that. And maybe that's a little much. You could bring it down about like that. But you see how narrow this gets to be up at your top. So you have to be careful about, how strong is that going to be? But if you liked that shape, let's duplicate this, Control D, duplicate again, bring it down here. But if you liked this idea, go back to your scissors again and cut the top off, cut the middle out. And now you've got that beginning to be a shape for a potential support. But if you want to keep it symmetrical, just come in here and now do an inward offset, inward, keep it round so you get a nice round bowl there and just bring it in ever how far you want it to be. So if you want it to be at least half an inch, that's a little over half inch, say okay. But now you don't need these top pieces up here. Well, grab you a pencil, come there, your crosshairs, draw a straight line up, draw you a straight line up, and go back to your scissor tools again. Cut there, and there, and there. Come on. There we go. So now you've got that shape. So how you get to which one of those shapes you like better, that actually looks pretty cool as long as you can make this up here strong enough for your tabs, your insert, and all that, how it's going to, and I think it would actually work. Haven't done that, designed one and tested it, but I think that would work and it looks pretty cool. But then how you get your feet on there, we need feet for it to have a square bottom or something to sit on. And then we got to worry about the slots, but let's do our feet first. So if I want it to have I'm going to come right here to the middle, I'm going to crosshairs. I'm going to hold Control and Shift and draw out a circle there. And since I'm drawing it out from the center, keep my anchor point in the very middle and tell it to be a 5-inch circle. And that's going to give me a 5-inch diameter footprint for that basket to sit on. So if I start there, and let's look at the width of that piece from here to here. It's about 3/4 of an inch. So with that selected, I can come in here to my offset tool and let's do 3/4 of an inch and say okay. And now I need to create my feet and get rid of the pieces I don't want. And I'm going to draw me, I could just draw a straight line, or I can go up here and just grab a guideline, bring the guideline down here. And where do I want this to be? I want to take, and I'm going to snap it right to the bottom of the base of the support for the bowl. And if I only want the bottom, the very bottom of that support to only be 10 millimeters off the tabletop, then if I set my move tabs and I go to the metric, I flip flop. I know all y'all laugh at me for doing that, but I flip flop. Go to settings and my move tab, make sure, yeah, I'm at 10 millimeters. So with that line selected, arrow down one time, that's a 10 millimeter drop from the bottom of that bowl to what will be my bottom of my feet. So now let's put that on the same layer. And now I can start using my scissors again. Let's go up here and grab my scissors and we'll get rid of that and 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 that. Get rid of these inside here. And now I've just created my little feet. Now, you could have figured out a way to use Boolean tools, but the problem is you could probably would have used scissors to cut this off and then use Boolean tools to add these down here. But doing that with the scissors, you can actually see it as you're creating it and get that shape that you want. So now you've got flat bottom feet, you got flat feet, and now you need to look at, and I'm going to take this one off here. I'm going to continue to work with this shape here. I actually like that better than I like this over here. And I've got, now this over here is that toolpath, that guideline, you see it extends way out there. I don't need that anymore. That's part that I brought down here for the feet. Hit the delete button, get rid of that. All right, so I've got my basic shape for that. And so now I'm going to come back over here, and before I go too far down the rabbit hole of this, see if there's any questions or comments that I've missed. Okay, we talked about making it a hanging basket. So all right, good. All right, I'm gonna mark this spot so I know where we are in the thread. There we go. And now back over to Lightburn. So if this is my basic shape, I'm going to need two of them. They're going to have to intersect with each other and interlock with each other. And I need supports at the top for my spiral to engage and lock into place. So before I create, now when I did this bowl here, this basket, I did not change the alignment spot for where the slots on this one are at the exact same height as the slots on this one. So here is the beginning of that spiral. You can see there's the beginning. And it comes around, and it's a quarter of the way around the basket. And over here, it's still at the same height. If you wanted to, you could have one at the very beginning at one level, and then as you come around, then drop that down a little bit to, begin that downward spiral. I didn't do that. I didn't feel like there was any need in that, but maybe you do. Maybe you want to. But to keep my design to a minimal without having to do a lot of extra thinking, I still am exactly the same. So if this is the piece that's going to be the support, now I need to put a place to mount my material, or start my spiral up here. And if I want to do what was it? Uh, yeah, Three Rusty Nails said about making it a hanging basket. You could leave these feet off, and then up here you got to make notches to start the spiral, and then he was talking about putting holes up here to where you could put a chain on it and hang it. So first, let's put some material up here to create our notches. And to start off with, I'm just going to grab a rectangle and start there in the corner and just draw it out. And I didn't come real far in there. In fact, because this is so narrow, this one I might actually bring it down here to help beef this up a little bit, and might even round this off in here to give it even more support. I don't know how I would do that, but start there. Right now, we're getting you that this is not about this one specific design, but how did I get the geometry right? How did I get the alignment right? How did I figure out the placement? So start there, and then I'm going to duplicate that and move it over here, align it to the right side, and now that's in place. And I need to make sure that it's big enough. I should have done that before I copied it and duplicated it. This is a height. It's not big enough. The width is fine, but I need to have a height. I need to change my anchor point up here to the top left so that I keep that in the same spot. And if I'm using 3mm material and I want to have a 3mm slot in there, I want to have at least 3 on each side. So this needs to be a minimum of 9mm. So if I change that to 9, that'll drop that down like that. You can see it's a little bit proud over here, which is not a big deal, big deal. You could clean that up in a minute and I'll show you. But if that's the new size, did I have the aspect ratio locked? I did. Control D or Control Z, undo. Unlock the aspect ratio. Tell that to go to 9mm. There we go. That will work. And Control D, duplicate it and align it to the right side. Get rid of that one. And I could have even modified and made my slot. And I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not thinking this through. But let's weld this. And then if I want to get rid of that, if you go into node editing, you just grab those two right there and hit the letter D and delete those. And if you want to put a little curve on there, you can curve it out a little bit or what have you. That just cleans that up. And then you need a 3mm slot over here. So if you come get right there is your snapping cursor. And if you hold shift and control, it'll start drawing out a square from there. And we need to tell it needs to be 3mm. And then align it. Well, no, we're not going to align it. We're going to come over here and grab our snapping cursor and bring it to the center right there. And now that's snapped in place. And now you can say that, subtract that. Oh, Control Z and do it again. There, nope, Control Z. A, subtract that. Boolean subtraction. Why is that not working? That's A. That's that whole thing. And I want to subtract that little bitty square. A, subtract. That's not right. I updated before going live. I've got new 2.0.03. And I don't think I'm doing that wrong. A is the entire support. Subtract that little bitty square that's inside there. and it should give me the result I want. Let's go look at the Boolean assistant. So if I got A, B, and go to the Boolean assistant, there it is. It's A subtract B. I was doing an intersection. Was I clicking on the wrong thing? I thought I said the subtract. I was. There it is, subtract. Golly. And I'm even wearing my glasses. All right. And if you want to beautify this, if this is 3 millimeters, come up here and get you a 2 millimeter radius and give you a radius up there and one here. And if you wanted to strengthen that, you could always go into node editing and put you a node right there, hit a I for insert, and then come up here and D for delete. And then just grab that line and just bend it a little bit. Well, that moved that whole piece down there. Come down here to maintain this curve. Insert a node anywhere just below that other one with the letter I. And then you can start curving this around and change it up, make that bulbous or whatever. Just smooth it out a little bit so it's not got a corner, sharp corner on it. And you do the same thing over here. So that's that. And let's try to do this quick. We'll do a 3 millimeter square. Grab our snapping node or snapping cursor, snap it there. A, subtract B, and this time do subtract, not intersection. And then weld those together. Node editing. Clean those up with a letter D. Let's grab our radius tool and we'll give a radius there and there and there. And insert a node right here with the letter I. Got to go to node editing and insert and delete letter D and then give it some. I didn't put a node. Forgot to put a node down here to lock that curve. I, and now curve that. There we go. So now I've got that. Now I need to create 2 of these and make them so they'll interlock with one another. Control D, duplicate that, bring it up. And I'm going to get a 3 millimeter rectangle, 3 millimeter wide. And let's bring it down here. Let's grab our snapping cursor right there and snap it to the center. Actually, I don't even have to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first put it in the center that way. There we go. And then I need to figure out that overall height there. And I'm going to grab that and just drag it down to right there on the line and drag that one right up to the line. There you go. And so it's a height of 19.08. If I divide that by 2, and before I do that, let's change that. Got to put my anchor point in the right place. So backspace that out, keep that same. Put the anchor point in. This time I'll put the anchor point in the bottom center, which will keep this right here, and divide that by 2. Had aspect ratio locked. Unlocked aspect ratio. Divide that by 2, and that gives me half of that distance. I'm going to duplicate that and bring it down here. And let's align it to the bottom. It's not going to be the right place, but I can take that there and we'll grab it and snap it. in the center. There we go. So now I can say A, subtract B, and it didn't quite get alignment right. That's okay. You can also do Control Z, use your scissor tools, and just cut out the pieces you don't want there. It didn't get it quite lined up. So if I use my micro movement, that was too much. And actually, it don't matter. It don't matter. This, I've got this at about the right spot. I can make that as long and tall as I want to up there. This is the halfway point, and that's what matters. So now I can use the scissors and just say goodbye and goodbye. And there's a slot there. And if that one's lined up just right, don't know, we can do the same thing. Draw it oversize and use the scissors. Cut out what we don't want, cut out that middle piece. And now that's the slot on the bottom, slot on the top. Those are going to interlock with each other and be at a 90 degree when you interlock them. So let's see if I've lost anybody in my ramblings. I bought the file and made at 50% with a few tweakies, came out good. Okay. Did you, so you got it at half price? Is that what made it? Oh, you made it at 50%. You scaled it down. Is that what you're saying? You scaled the file down to, okay. Yeah, I've got several baskets on Hobo with Wood, and I was trying to find one. I've got one that's only about 4 inches, and I painted it up and it looks like a little flower. It's cute, but I couldn't find it. Not dropping it down will give the top a little more strength. Use the weld above the one you were using. If you were looking when I was trying to subtract, I was trying to subtract it, and I was using intersection. I think I was, yeah. It was, yeah, it's funny. And yesterday I went in to Walmart. I hate going into Walmart, but yesterday I went to buy some tongue oil, and the girl was trying to help me find it, and me and the associate was standing there looking around trying to couldn't find it because they didn't have it, so we couldn't find it. And but online it showed they had it, and they didn't have it. But a customer walked by and he was trying to get past this, and he's excuse me. I said, why? Did you fart? and he lost it. All right, so good. Mark this spot. Done. All right, now let's go back over here and finish modifying these. All right, so I've got these, and I've got the supports, and I've got them where they're going to interlock with each other. Now, how do I get the bottom? How do I get that lined up? And how do I get my notches in my spirals? Well, I'm going to bring a guide path down here, and I'm going to bring a guide path over here. Now, these are actually two separate lines. When you create this spiral, they are open shapes. It's two lines that will cut out a continuous spiral out of your wood. So I'm going to grab both of those and group it. And then I'm going to tell each of these to go to the center. This is going to go to the horizontal center, and this one's going to go to the vertical center. So there gives me my crosshairs where I need to put my anchor points in the bottom of this. So I'm working with 3mm material. So if I draw me a 3x9, aspect ratio unlocked, 3x9. And right now I'm going to come in here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to put it right dead in the center. And I'm going to look and see what it looks like if I move it out. Well, I know that my arrow movement right now is at 10mm. So if I air it up once, duplicate it, and then bring it back and then bring it down, that actually works pretty good. That gives me good space, good even space. So now if I just select both of those and duplicate them, and then use my less than button to rotate them, those are a little bit closer. To give, in fact, just to make sure I've got equal strength between these two and between here and here, I'm going to draw, and this is just being a little bit, what is it? I forget that big word y'all throwed at me the other day. Pandemic. I don't know, not pandemic. I don't know. But anyway, that's the distance from the end of that spiral to the center of the board. So if I take that and then put that in the center there, that moves it. So now it's just equal distance. And actually, that doesn't quite work either. I need to do something different. I need to take that away. I'm going to come right in here. I'm going to grab me a circle just because I like the circle. And I'm going to come to that intersection and I'm going to draw out a little bitty circle. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, I'm going to duplicate that circle so they're exact same size. Duplicate that and move it to that intersection. And now with that being a fixed point and that being a fixed point, these are definitely the size that I want them to be. They're 3x9. So now if I select all of those and tell them to distribute each other, but with even space between them right there, that's better, because that from here to here is going to be as strong as it is from here to here and from here to here. So now I can get rid of those circles and I can get rid of this one and duplicate that. Control D, duplicate it and rotate it. And there, that would be an optimal position for strength. And I can grab both of those toolpaths and delete them. All right. And pedantic. Yes, that was it. Pedantic. Yeah, y'all like to. Yeah. Pedantic. I'm being pedantic there. There. All right. Let's see here. What was yes, pedantic was the word y'all called me. Would shortening ends of the spirals to between 3x9s, would shortening ends of spirals to between 3x9s work? The ends of the spirals? I haven't got up to the ends. I haven't looked at that yet. I don't quite follow what you're referring to. Because I'm at the middle. Would shortening ends of spirals to between 3x9s work? Don't follow you, Chris. But you know what you're talking about. And this is just my twisted brain's way of I rationale all this out. All right. And I got rid of those crosshairs and I needed to keep those because now I need to do the end pieces. So let's go back and do a Control Z and bring them back into play. Control Z. Oh, gotta go over here. There we go. Control Z. There they are. All right. So there's my center line through those, and that continues right out here to where my grooves slots need to line up for where these are going to line in with the support pieces. When you were spacing the cuts out for strength, okay, now I see what you're talking about. So if you shorten that spiral, I don't know if it would sit completely flat I don't know how that would affect the geometry of the spiral and that bottom piece sitting on that support. For anybody that doesn't follow, I think he was talking about, shorten it from here to here. If you brought it up here and you shortened it up here so that was further away from this slot, giving it more strength, that would definitely give it more strength. But with the spiral ending here and over here, I don't know how it would work with the I don't know. It might would be just fine. But let's now work. How do I get my notches out here? So there's my center line that's giving my center point here and here. And these are going to actually need to be on the outside of this spiral because this is going to be inside that support and need to slide into that. And this is 3 millimeters, right? Yep. So it's 3 by 3 right there. So if I come out here and I get me a rectangle and draw out a 3 millimeter square, aspect ratio lock, 3 millimeters, and I grab my snapping cursor and snap it right there on that line. Here, this spiral is, you can see it starting to come in there. If you're when you created your spiral, if you didn't want to have that in there, you could take this and go, I got to ungroup it because I grouped those lines, go into node editing. And if I wanted that to be a little bit longer, I can move those out a little bit and lengthen that. And that would be fine. And I just selected those 3 nodes and used my control arrow button to arrow those up. And then, I would need to do the same thing on the other side. But if that didn't bother you, then just cut it out. Now, to make sure that this cuts out properly, I'm just going to extend this. Well, wrong button, Control Z, undo. There. To make sure that cuts out properly, I'll extend it way out past its point. And this is not a closed shape. It is a line. And because it's a line, you're not able to use Boolean tools. And I'm took Chris off there. You can't use Boolean tools with an open shape and a closed shape. So here you're definitely going to need to use your scissors to cut out that shape. And I'm going to turn off this toolpath because I don't want to delete it yet. I'm going to need it on the other side. So I'm going to turn it off so we don't see it. And now I'll use my scissors to get rid of the pieces that I don't want. There. And there's my notch. Turn that back on. Come back over here. 3 millimeter. Get my snapping cursor and snap it there. And I messed up in my design whenever I was designing that, because that one I had to lengthen that one, but I lengthened this one apparently in the original design already. So now I can just draw that out. I don't need that one anymore. Use my scissors and cut and cut. So now I got 2 notches on the spiral. I want to do the same thing up here. Three mil. Snapping cursor, snap it right there, that intersection, and now drag it on out. Duplicate that and bring it down. And I need to actually make that one back to 3 again, not 30. Way to go, dum-dum. And use the snapping cursor to snap it to the bottom. And now drag it out. I can get rid of that toolpath, grab my scissors, cut away what I don't want. And now I've got notches at 12, 3, 6, and 9. And they're lined up with these. And now how do I get these and these? Well, we're going to come over here, our selector tool, and we'll grab a pair of those, duplicate them, group them so I don't mess up my spacing, and bring those over here. And we're going to tell it to align to the center. And now I'm going to bring it down. Oh, I didn't mean to bring them both down. We're going to bring this pair down. And now you're going to have a little bit of an issue because these are going to need to be flat across here. And obviously this is a curve. So I need to have a straight line across there. So I think what I did when I did it was simply get, oh, wrong button. There we go. Get those right there where the corners are touching, right at it. And let's go ahead and grab the corner and snap it. Come on, snap it. And then double check to see if I kept it close to the center. There we go. Then you can do a couple of different things. You could draw a line, come from here, hold your shift button and draw a straight line that's well long enough. And then once it's plenty long enough, grab that line and put that line in the center of this. So now you've got a flat line all the way across there. Now you could use your scissor tools again. Come in here, and is this grouped with anything? Nope. All right, so good. So scissor tools. We're going to cut away that curve at the bottom and cut away that and cut away that. Now I've got a flat bottom there, and I can weld that group to there and see if weld will work. It did. And I would do, and actually, I don't even need to do, actually, yeah, they're not duplicates. You would have to do the same thing down here with the bottom. But, if you're smart and you think about the design process, these two support pieces are identical with the one exception of their interlocking. That's the only variance in those support bases. So if you design the entire support base minus the interlocking aspect, you design one of them. Then when you're ready to do the interlocking part, then duplicate it and subtract one from the top, one from the bottom, and Bob's your uncle. It's done. Let's see. Well, got a tornado here. Oh, well, that's not good. We got some thunder rolling and booming out there, but I don't want no winds. Yeah, stay safe. Stay safe. All right. So now back to the possibility of doing, if you wanted to make it a hanging basket, if when you're doing your design, you opted to not put feet on it, but you did decide to do let's see. Actually bring it to there. And then do an offset inward. Group those, duplicate it, bring it over here. And those are big, but just showing you. Oh, come on. Not both of them. I think I just messed up. Control Z, because I messed up the other side, I'm sure. There we go. on. Snapping cursor, snap it to there, and weld it, and weld it. And now you could put you a chain on there and have you a hanging basket. Easy peasy. And that's actually a pretty cool idea. These actually, and I want to do the other polygon shape in a second, but I like that as a hanging basket. The baskets for you could go and get that mossy garbage that you put in there for fake flowers or even real flowers, and put you a fern or anything in there and make it in it, because it would be plenty strong enough for a little small lightweight hanging basket. That'd be actually pretty cool. You would want to do to make sure that support is strong enough to support the weight. So this design would need to be reinforced. This is your weak point here, so you'd need to make it really beefy around your hanging points. But that would actually look really nice. That'd be a really cool concept, a very unique hanging basket. So now, someone to ask, well, how did you get the spacing so that everything was symmetrical? Well, this is all gravity. You've got anchor points at the top, and then gravity just causes that spiral as you push it down. Well, it's not complete gravity because you pushed that down and glued that in place. And then the contour of your support will control or affects what that spacing will be. And it looks pretty uniform. Looks good. But let's say you wanted it to be, instead of a spiral, you wanted it to be stronger. And you like this idea of having that spaced out. Let's do this. This should be actually something that you can do really quickly, I think. Chris says, for hanging basket, I would use 6mm wood for the brackets. Yeah, for the support, if you've got 6mm, that would work. I don't have 6mm here in the States. We get a lot of the 4.7 or 4.5. You can do the plywood. And if you're going to do a basket, if you're going to do it for the true hanging plant, I don't know that I'd use MDF because of watering and all that good stuff. If you're going to do it for a fake plant, something that a lot of us bachelors have to have, you want it to look nice, but you ain't watering nothing. That's why I like my succulents. I've got a few succulents because I don't have to worry too much about watering them. I'll put water in them about once a month, but the succulents do pretty well. So if you're going to use it for real flowers, I would use probably plywood and then seal it real good. All right, but let's look at doing this with a polygon and do it with fixed positions in your support. Led Zepp says he'd do it in acrylic. That'd be cool. All right, so let's do from scratch. File new. Discard all this. Go away. Bye-bye. And let's put a toolpath down here for a 300 by 300 material. Holding shift and make it 300 by 300. So there's my toolpath. I'm gonna put it in the center of the work area. All right, and now let's do a polygons are can be tricky because they're not the height and width of them can be problematic. So let's come over here to polygon tool, but I think the octagon would work. The polygon, and then let me show you what I'm talking about with the polygon. Hold shift, and actually let's deselect that toolpath, select a polygon, come right there to the center, hold shift and control, and I'm drawing out a perfect polygon. And a polygon is when you look at your height and width, it's not a symmetrical shape. So that could be a little bit problematic with your supports, because and also your supports need to be at 90 degrees from each other, and that's going to put a support in the middle of that point. So that polygon don't work. So octagon will work. An octagon is going to solve all of our problems. 8-sided shape. Come in here. I'll just draw one out. And if I wanted to leave about 5 mil on either side, so 290. So 290 millimeters, and put it in the center. All right. I feel good with that. And now I want to do a minimum of let's see how many we can get with a 12 millimeter offset. Offset it 12 millimeters inward, doing corners, and say okay. And now, since I've set that as my desired offset, I'm going to hold control and click on the offset, and it's just going to keep repeating that. And that right there is 74 by 74, or about 3 inches. So let's do one more. There's about 2 inches. So depending on how big you wanted to, or what you were going to do with this, you might not want to have it come all the way down to a 2-inch base. In fact, let's just leave it at 3. Select all of these and put these on a cut path. All right. Now, let's see here. Steve's got jokes today. To move something to center of the work area, select the hit P. Select the hit P. Select and hit P. Just for giggles. See what he's talking about. Select and hit the letter P, and that puts it right in the very center. There you go. So that's a shortcut for everybody. There's a 1 for me. In fact, let me put it up there. 1. So if you've got something selected, whatever it is, and you want to put it in the center of your workspace, just hit. I'm not doing anything else, but I've got it selected, and hit the letter P, and it puts it right in the middle of the keyboard. Thank you, Chris. I don't do that very often. Most of the time when I'm designing from this position, but something that I've started doing in MillMage is designing from the center of my work area. So that's going to be helpful in both Lightburn and in MillMage, because I'm sure it's going to be the same thing over there too. But I like that. Select your object, no other buttons, no control, no shift, no alt, no nothing. Letter P. Centers it in the work area. Cool shortcut. All right, so now I've got all that selected. Hit the letter P, and puts it all right back in the center again. All right. I don't need that. Oops, I don't need that. I'm going to get rid of that. All right, so there is a 12 by 12 piece of material, and it's cutting out what will be a solid base right there. There's one piece. And then that's going to be another piece. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 layers. So if I were to, oh, you know what? let's keep this all octagonal. Let's grab an octagon, and we're going to hold shift and control and draw out a perfect octagon. And let's look at, what is this? It was 290. Yep. So that's 290. So let's make this 290. I think keep that locked. 290. And then let's keep the symmetry all the same. So let's do, if this was a 12 millimeter offset, in fact, all I got to do is hold control and hit the offset, and it's going to give me the same offset. So there's 12 or 12 millimeter inward offset. And now I need to cut that in half. So I'm going to just grab a tool path or a guideline and put it in the center. And then I'll use my scissors again. I've been running and playing with scissors all week. And now I need to put that on the red tool path. Get rid of this part over here. Select it. Now I need to select all of that and hit Alt J. Will that join everything? Yes. So now that's a closed shape. All right. So there would be a potential bottom support. But if I grab this, actually, I'm going to grab both of these, Control D, duplicate it, group it, put it in the center of this. It looks like I might need to do that base a little larger than 290. I can't do it over 300 because that's my material. Actually, I think I would need to just do, if that's the biggest I can do for the base is at 290. I think it would be wiser to come back in here and do this a little bit less. So let's grab that, delete it, because I like that. That's as big as, because I want to make it as big as possible. And I'm going to select all of these and delete them. Come back to this one, and instead of 290, I'm going to say I want to come in here halfway would be 6 mil and 6, 12. All right, well, let's say subtract 12. Aspect ratio locked, subtract 12. And I had my anchor point not in the center, so letter P to put it back in the center. Did that do that? Letter P. Yep, there we go. And now let's come back and do inward offsets of 12 millimeters again. Getting it down. No, Control Z. That gets us down to there. And now let's grab these two, duplicate those, group them, and put it in the center of this. I think I'm going to like that idea better. All right. I'm just thinking. In fact, I'm going to come back over here and look at your comments and see if anybody's made any comments or suggestions that I need to turn Chris off. There he is. Yeah, I think a lot of people like that one. There was a lot of numbers added after that, so everybody appreciated that, Chris. And Chris says, yep, Mill Mage is where I picked it up. Excellent. Yes. Sometimes I have to take my shoes off. Yeah, but yes, I can count. But shoes come off if it's over 10. Jack says, and Jack's and he's and the thunder's coming from your direction, and the clouds are dark over your area, but I have a lot of thunder, and I've only heard the first few raindrops. It's not raining out here yet. If it is, it's barely misting. I'm good right now. So you're getting heavy. All right. And thank you, sir. Muchas gracias. I don't know what it is in Denmark. I don't know what the Danish is for thank you. But Henrik is a patron, and he's here watching. And I don't know if this is closed captioning in live, but it's easier to communicate with him in his native tongue. He just types it out to me in Danish, and I use the good old translator. That way nothing gets lost in broken English. He can type out what he needs to say, and I'll translate it, and I'll do the same thing back to him. It's cool. Wouldn't some of the layers fall down until you hit the angles? Yes. Like I said, that's why this just something I thought of when I was going live. I said, this actually might be kind of cool. I hadn't got that far yet, but you're already there. Yeah, and the Soak and Raise has already said what I was already thinking. They said Ottoman, but I think outer. The outer rings need to be the same size until you hit that ring. No, Jack, you can keep it. Gigi's over here pacing back and forth. She's right here at my feet. She does not like strong storms. And she has jumped up in my lap during lives when it got really bad out there. It's okay, girl. It's okay. You're okay. Lay down. All right. So, wrong one. All right. So let's go back over here and look at this, because I ain't giving up on the idea. I do like this. I like the concept, but I do believe that Soak and Raise was right. We're going to use a duplicate of this. So if this is the first ring that's going to sit in here, I don't want to have it sit on top. I would make the top of the bowl shorter. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do that. And that might even look better. Who said that? Gillette said that. Make the top of the bowl shorter. Yeah, but let's see what that's going to look like. In fact, before we go too far with figuring out the height, let's look at the spacing. We know how many pieces we're going to have. I'm going to go back and count them again. And may have to take my shoes off. Now that we've redone those, see if we got, and then let's look at the spacing and use that to determine the height of the bowl or the height of the basket. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, counting the very bottom. So if I'm making this out of 3 millimeter pieces, and I'm just going to make these plenty long enough for right now. Let's grab this. This. Move it out of the way for right now. And I'm going to duplicate this 8 times to create a total of 9. So 8 times be Control D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to take that first one and I'm going to align it. How is that going to attach? I don't know. I ain't thought about that now. Wait, that's not going to work. Let's see where we're at here. Align that to bottom. Like I said, this idea came to me when I was 3 minutes before going live. I'm like, oh, wonder about doing that. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It's concept. We're figuring it out. So that was aligned to the bottom of the center, and let's grab another one and align it to. We'll do to the top and the center for right now. Then if I grab every one of these and drag every one of them up here and tell it to go to the center, and then grab all of them and distribute them evenly vertically with space in between them, there would be the spacing. And if I wanted to shorten that so that your first one, let's do Control Z, bring that back. Let's move these down. And then if that one was brought down to about there, let's see where that spacing would put us. That would work. Excuse me. Let's see. The bottom, though, that one's not going to be there. Because there we can put a notch for that to sit. Same thing there. I think that would work. And so if we take and grab that, go to node editing, grab those nodes and just hold shift. And here comes the rain. Bring that down like that. That lowers that. And then selector tool. Grab that, and we're going to shorten it. Holding control, I'm bringing it in both sides. Bring it over to, it looks like it's about in the middle, about like that. I'll get more exacting with it in a second. Same thing here. In fact, we can do all of them at one time and then just do each one a little bit more. Nope, don't want to do that. I want to do that. Did I do? Did I screw up? What you talking about, Willis? You made it 1 millimeter, not 3. That's 3 millimeter. Well, I messed up somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I called it. I don't know. Measure the bottom of the frame to get your correct base size. Yeah. The inner one would also have to fit on the bottom as well instead of gradual like with the circle. Yeah, this isn't going to be a spiral, Terry. This is a different concept. I changed glasses and the one became a 3. Yeah, I've been there too. So yeah, so this right here, I'm going to arrow up, or I'll arrow it down for a second. There's one, and then was it soak and raise? Yeah. So I'm going to just measure this right here, and that distance is 110.18, and I want to come in 6 millimeters on either side. So add 12, so 122 mil total length, I think. So arrow that back up, and 112 unlocked, and 112. 112 didn't come in or go out 6 mil. What'd I do? How'd I mess that up? Let's try that again. Arrow that down. Not there, there. Select that and arrow down. Ruler. It's 110. Oh, it's 122, dummy. Golly. Told you I could count, but I can't add. Math is not my friend. 122. And arrow up. Got to select it first and get it out of that measurement. There we go. So that would sit there like that. And then what is the distance from here to the next one? From here to here, straight arrow up. It's 9 mil. So that should be the spacing on all of them. It's about 9 mil. And actually, let's put that. Let's grab my snapping cursor, snap it to the middle of that. There we go. And then what is the distance from here to here? Right at 6 mil. So then I would do a rectangle from this point. Rectangle from this point to here, and it needs to be 6 mil. So the width, and change my anchor point to there, the bottom, and tell it the width is 6. And it needs to be tall enough for it to be able to slide down on it. So that's going to have to come all the way up to there, right? So that piece can then just slide down and sit on there. How are you going to slide the rings in on all 4 sides with this? I think that's what I was just, think I just addressed. By making that tall enough, it'll slide down, right? I think that will take care of that, I think. So, and so if I take and duplicate that, Control D, duplicate it, bring that over here and do the same thing where that intersects. And that's what I'd need to do all the way up. So Control D, duplicate it. And guys, Chris says, yeah, it just dawned on me it was going to be a problem. Same time it dawned on you. And Chris says, do top and bottom in 6 mil, then do a line between to snap each level to. Do top and bottom in 6 millimeters, then do a line between to snap each level to. I'll get there in a second. And this is why, guys, and I don't joke. I'm not kidding. Whenever people reach out to me for help, I almost always say, let's talk. Because I can read that. I read it fine. But there's a switch that got turned off after my strokes that I cannot comprehend what I read. I really can. And I don't know. It's just because I'm sure that makes absolute perfect sense to 90% of you guys. But I can't put that together. I cannot. My brain does not. It doesn't comprehend what I read. And it's thanks to the strokes. And he followed up with a line between top and bottom level. And then, like I said, it's just It's just something's turned off in here now. I'm not going to have this because this is going to be a piece that's not tested. We're going over theory here, right? We're not. I'm not going to have this as a finished piece on the website today. I may actually end up finishing and making one, but we're seeing together the roadblocks and the stumbling blocks because this is a whole new concept. This is not something I've done yet. But figuring out what works, where does it work, where is there interference, what needs to be done, what do you need? So this is just the process. So and I think this might have been what Chris was talking about. Let me see here. Control D. Oh, sorry. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. But now you can hear me because I seen it was muted. I don't know how it got muted, but let's see. Go back up here. Do top and bottom and 6 mil. Then and or offset support shape to give you a line to snap each level to. Will the distribution tool work on an angled line? Fixed. And now we're back. Yep. All right. So the angled line, the distribute tool, the way you did that, you've seen how I did it. You didn't hear me when I said what I did there. And that was Ed that asked that. I distributed them vertically and then had the two in their vertical positions and then distributed them horizontally. So it created that vertical line. It didn't do it all in one step. But I got it there. And Terry said, "Oh, I thought it was me." No, something happened there. I don't know how it happened, but something I did with the keyboard muted the mic because I didn't mute the mic. Something I did keyboard did it. All right, so back over here. So now it's just a matter of getting those links correct. And so if I select that and hold control and shrink that in, and right now I'm just getting it close because I'm going to play with this and I am going to get, oh, you know what? Yeah, because here's another thing I'm going to have to do. We'll get these. Getting them close because these are going to affect the sizes of those octagons that we're cutting out. And actually what I want to do is I don't want to have them sitting flush right here. I'm going to put a notch in them so they'll slide down here, but they'll slide a notch. So actually, let's do this. Let's grab this and we'll air it down out of the way. I'm going to come over here with my rectangle tool and come right there to the corner and just draw out a rectangle from here. And actually, I'll go to that point. So I know I'm at that's exact dimensions. But it only needs to be, put my anchor point in the bottom center. And the height is going to be, in my case, it's going to be 3 mil. And then that is the exact length. But I do want to have a notch of 6 here and 6 there. So I'm going to add 12 mil here. So say plus 12. So that is the size of the very bottom octagon or polygon, octagon, yeah. That's going to go in here. And that's the very, very bottom. Get rid of that. And what is that? That is Control D, duplicate it, bring it over here. That's the very bottom one. Then it's going to be right about there. These two are not these two. Yeah, those two are going bye-bye. Is that right? Yeah, but you can do them both. You distribute them if you know your positions, like I did. You can distribute them horizontal and then vertical, and then with the spacing correct, you create that diagonal or that angle. Just got part of my roll. Oh, good! Congratulations! I'm glad you pulled a trigger and got you one. You're not going to be disappointed. And I'm guessing what showed up is the small parts. You got all the rotary and the attachments, and the big one will come in a day or two. FedEx is bad about shipping those separately. All right, so back over here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that's the 8th piece. Oh, well, and then I needed it to go the extra module, lens, control boards, inside exhaust. Yeah, all the little stuff. Yeah. And squirrel. The reason that happens, Ed, is here in the States when they ship that stuff. I'm guessing he's still shipping FedEx. The smaller boxes, even though it's not FedEx next day air, the smaller boxes, they'll get thrown on the airplane, and they'll ship those via air. And the big boxes, the heavy ones, the one with your laser, it's going to come on the truck. And so wherever its warehouse is at, they will truck it from A to B, and it just takes an extra day or two for the trucks to bring those in. So if you're not paying for FedEx air, only the little ones get thrown on the airplane. The big boxes, they go in a truck. And that's why they get separated and different different arrival dates. Let's see here. I don't think you can notch bottom and still make it interlock in the center. How are you going to slide that first piece in with 6 mil on either side and 4 supports? I just had a thought while I was having a smoke outside. Are those cutouts too deep for the levels to snap in? Well, congratulations, Jesse. If I look at it, if I look at a cross section to answer one of the questions, oh, don't do that. Just select one of them. So there's looking at it top down of my 2 support pieces. All right. That's one of those looking straight down on it. When it's time to put this bottom piece in place, which is going to be, I'm still looking at trying to figure out this, this piece right here. That's going to be Control D, duplicate that. Come on, Control Z. Grab the middle one. There we go. So that's the width of an octagon, and the width is 134.8181. All right, let's try this. Let's go to octagon. And if that's the width, 134.181. 134.181. That's going to go in first and slide down because that's going to come to an angular point. Yeah, because they get wider as they go away. But if we go to the very, very bottom cross section, that's going to be about like, well, actually be about like that, right? give or take. And those extra pieces are going to just slide right down over that. And because the polygon will have, or the octagon will have notches in it. I guess it was actually like, I don't know. I see it in my mind's eye. This is where you got to think in 2D to get the result in 3D. And whatever it was that Chris seen, I figured it out. So yeah, we'll do the stairs so that it just slides down. And these will be notches that the polygon or the octagon will actually slide over that here, and to have them over here to slide down the other side as well. And then when the next one goes in, it's just going to slide down. It's going to have to be, and on this bottom one, instead of it being, it's going to need to be a solid piece instead of offsets. I think that's what's throwing me off here with this design over here. But this is an idea that it just came to me while I was right before going live. Like I said, I hadn't thought it through, obviously. And it's going to take a little bit more thinking. And Soaking Ray says, I get it if you notch the base. Yeah, I'm going to play with this some more. I think I like the idea. I like the concept. Just got to figure it out. But I'm not going to drag us all through this in 2 hours here. This is long enough for a live stream. And I'm going to, I don't even remember what Craig's suggestion was, but Craig's suggestion on the name was the first one, or the one that resonated most with me. I don't think the name needs to say Mill Mage, because Hobo with Wood doesn't say Lightburn, but it does need to, talk about, or at least indicate CNC related. But what I do, in fact, all 68 of you watching right now, and the 4 of you that are watching it from the replay, if you have no desire in CNC related information at all, I understand. But what I need you to do for me, because what I'm going to do is create a second channel so that people who are not interested in seeing CNC related material isn't going to be seeing the alerts for that from Hobo with Wood. To do that, I got to create a second channel. And to make it worth the time and trouble to do that, I need to get that second channel monetized yesterday. And the way the monetization works in YouTube, you got to have I think it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. The watch hours are going to come, but the 1,000 subscribers is the one that takes a little bit longer to get generated. So whether you're interested in CNC work or not, when I announce this new channel, everybody go subscribe. But if you're not interested in seeing the videos and the postings, simply don't hit the notification bell. That's all you got to do. Subscribe, but don't hit the notifications. So if I get the subscribers that I need quickly and get that monetization working, then after you see that, if you don't want to be on that channel anymore after, and honestly, if you subscribe and don't hit the notifications, you can forget about it, because it'll be like you'll never see anything. But that's what we're going to do this week. I'm going to create the new channel, and when I announce it, everybody go subscribe. If you want to see CNC related materials and the new videos, hit the notification bell for the new channel. If you don't want to see it, just don't hit the notification bell. And that works. Hobo's CNC Adventures. CNC Adventures. Yeah. So that's how we'll approach that. And like I said, the first thing I've learned right out of the gate is one of the most important aspects of your CNC experience beyond the software. And I really have high hopes for MillMage, giving all of the stumbling blocks I've had with other CNC related software. I've got high hopes for MillMage. But your bits are as important as any. They can be your weakest link. You can have a average or below average CNC quality wise, but if your bits are, your bits can probably make up for a lot of potential errors, or they can create a lot, even on a good machine. So I'm getting a bunch of the IDC Woodcraft bits. If you haven't seen the IDC Woodcraft page, that's another good one to go watch. He's entertaining, and I've watched him on and off for the last 3 years. But he doesn't do MillMage. He uses Vectric and a whole bunch, but the techniques can be similar, but his bits are top notch. He even sells the Jenny bits from Cadence Manufacturing. He's got a deal, I guess, with Cadence where he has some of the Jenny bits. All right. Colin says, let's have a race to see who's first. I don't know when I'll actually get it launched. It'll be tomorrow or Monday. I'll get it going, but I'll put it in the Facebook group once I get it done. MillMage will eventually catch up to the name brand CNC software, but it will take time without the cost of them. And without the cost of it, I think it will definitely catch up to the especially if the old farts from the diode and lasering community start embracing CNC. It's going to be a breeze to make that transition, because you're not having to completely relearn the software. You've got to learn new techniques with the operations and learning what bits do what and when you need to use what bits for what. And that's going to be my whole journey. I'm going to document as I learn, like I'm one of the very first video I've already told you, it's going to be funny. It's going to be about some major losses, and it's all on Cubico. I lay the blame on them completely, and I'm going to give them a good review, nasty about it. And it's all going to be funny. It's all Cubico's fault, every bit of it. So you'll want to watch the first video if you don't watch anything else. I'll sub, but then you're to blame when I end up getting a CNC. Well, you can get the Cubicos; they're cheap. I'm telling you, and it's a great and I'm telling you, this is not a bad piece. This is actually really cool, and you could do something like this with the great big X carve, but it's a whole lot easier with this little machine to do these little small pieces, and with the right bits. I mean, this thing, the spindle I've got, it's 20,000 RPMs, and with the right bits, you can do this in no time. So if you wanted to do small, really nice, intricate trinkets and pieces, you don't need a big, 48 by 48 CNC. So just because it's small doesn't mean you can't do nice things. I mean, I'm really, really happy with this. Now, this initial router, the outside edge, I did that with a router table. I did that. That was pre-existing. This is one of the plaques that I was doing, and I just took the plaque and made it into a tray. So, yeah, go, and I'm horrible at self promotion. I am terrible. And I really need to be better at it because God knows I need more support. Patreon.com/hobo with wood. Go gold. Your support, my patron support, is what makes this channel possible. And I don't, it's like I was talking, like when I talked to Craft Closet, and I was asking them about trying to get a promo code for the viewers on Hobo with Wood. It was just, I was asking about, the potential of getting a promo code that would be like when you go over to Craft Closet and you put those things in your checkout, if you had a coupon code that said Hobo 10, that you could get 10% off of your entire purchase. That would benefit you. It doesn't benefit me. I wasn't asking for any kind of commission on my part, but a way that the Hobo community could save some money. I'm not paid by them to endorse their stuff. It's just really, really good stuff. I bought the Cubicos. I didn't receive those. I wasn't, if you go look at the Cubico website, you'll get to see that great big old orange t-shirt, clacks all over it. I'm not paid to do a review on it. I wasn't asked to do a review on it. I bought 2 of them out of the Kickstarter, one for me and one for you, because during the Kickstarter, I was able to get 2 for about what one was going to cost eventually. And I seen the question there. Terry asked how much. I can't recall, but you know what? I've got it pulled up here, I think. No, not there. We'll pull it up real fast. Cubico. It is Jinmitsu or Sane Smart and Jinmitsu Swap. So right now, as is a base unit's $450. But I got the increased module, which was another, that's not bad. For $20, you increase it from a 10,000 RPM spindle to a 20,000 RPM spindle. I got the increased spindle. You get both. I got the dust shoe and the 5.5 watt laser. All of that's going to be given away. So that was $100, $111, $112, $150, $150 plus. So around $600 or so. I mean, and you're getting a really cool CNC that you're going to be able to learn to do CNC stuff with. Watch how hard you push it. Most of the time when I break a bit, it's because I was using too fast a speed and I hit a clamp. Oh, well, yeah. There are a lot of things that I'll be going over in that channel and all the videos and my whole learning process. So it's going to be a fun adventure. It's going to be fun. And this isn't going to suffer. We'll continue to do this, and I'm going to be doing that, plus that other channel. So I'm going to have 3 channels going. I'm not going to be getting out of this chair very much at all for the foreseeable future, except to get up and clamp in new pieces in the CNC. Let's see. Did I miss something? What is that? What is that? Oh, I got that. I got to go on down. Got that. Got that. And Chris says CNC is a natural progression from laser. And I bought both at the same time, and initially because I was planning on using the CNC to make some of my larger sign blanks that could then be, lasered, engraved, and do really, do the intricate stuff with the laser and the big bulky carving with the CNC. and we answered Terry there. You with all the really nice bells and whistles, around $600. And back to what Alan was talking about. Alan's, he's hit clamps and push too hard, break. That's the one thing I like about IDC Woodcraft. He says, if you break it, we'll replace it. No questions asked. If you break it, we'll replace it. I don't know all the ins and outs about that yet. I don't know if it's that cut and dry, but the bits are not cheap and they are high quality. I think it was carbide. They're expensive, but they say if you break it, they'll replace it. And hey, look at there. Jesse says, I received my cubic code today. Well, you're definitely going to want to be subscribed. And because like I said, I'm and I kid you not, this was my very first project. Very first. And I'm really, really happy with that. I did my little engraving on the back. And I'm extremely pleased with that. And the detail, got all 50 stars in there. And like I said, those are 1 millimeter stars. And being that this is Argentine Osage orange, the density, the strength of that, those aren't flaking and breaking off. The ones in the basswood, they broke and flaked off. Let's see here. Oh, that was my tooth. I was trying to scratch my chin and I knocked my tooth out. All right, there's what I was missing. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you. And I don't know if you've seen your email yet or not, but I sent you some Pekingese. I was a CNC operator my work life doing parts for aerospace industry. Yeah, 3 channels is, yeah. And the first, the Lightburn and CNC are primary. The third one is where I'm playing with AI, and right now I'm subject for tomorrow. It's figured me out, and it's because it learns and it adapts. And so my subject for tomorrow is we're going to have a conversation about I guess the meaning of life. What is it? What's the big secret? What is, I started a little conversation last night and I liked where it was going. So I stopped because I want to record everything, do it all live. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. I won't be streaming it live, but I'll be recording the conversation with ChatGPT live. Oh, not that. Yes, Garrett, will replace bit. Oh, Garrett will replace bit and even ship replacement. Oh, wow. Ships it to Australia. Wow. Yeah. I actually talked to Garrett. It was bad. I had reached out to them with some questions. And it was about the libraries. And so that's something else that I'm before I start teaching how to do this, I'm going to start, because I'm still learning how to do this. And so before I start teaching anything, for folks who do not have any concept at all about what the bits are, how they work, how do you get the bits in there, I'm going to go through the whole thing with Millbage, how to create the library, how to create not just an art library, but how do you get your tool set, set up your tool library, explain the shapes of and how they all work, and then create, because I've already got I created the library for the junk mills that I've got, but once I get my IDC stuff in here, I'll scrap all that stuff and put in just my IDC stuff. But when you buy your end mills from IDC, he gives you feed and speeds and suggested usage and all that. But I think those are like laser settings. It's, that's optimal settings in optimal conditions, but different wood types are going to have different results. It's like the feeds and speeds when I'm doing engraving on, throw that camera, on this basswood. I can go a whole lot faster and take a whole lot more chunks out of it than I can when I'm doing this Argentine Osage orange, because this is some super dense, hard stuff. So there's a learning curve, but you've got to understand feeds, speeds, how your chip load and all that stuff. Well, IDC, when you buy their end mills, he will give you a chart, and he even has it for in Vectric format, Aspire format, and all that. So when you can download it and bring it straight into your software. And so I asked him if, and you might know this, Chris, did Millmage, when they were creating the software, were they slick enough to use the same type of library format to where you might, if you had a Vectric library, you could actually import it into Millmage? Or is it all going to need to be keyed and set up? Don't know. And he's not looked at Millmage. But now after he called me yesterday. And when he called me, it was after I'd already had about 3 different phone calls of, hey, this is loan such and such. We want to loan you money. We want to give you money. So when I picked up the phone, I said, what? And he, is this Steve? I said, yeah, this is Steve. He says, hey, this is Garrett. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Hi, Garrett. How you doing? Great first impression. What? But anyway, he has not looked at Millmage. Wasn't rare, but he says he's going to need to create where he's got all this stuff in Aspire, Vectric, and all these other formats. He needs to just do it in a simple spreadsheet format, so that folks like myself and anybody else in the future, if he hasn't made anything for Millmage, and maybe that's something I could do and work with him, is I get all that stuff set up in Millmage and then share it with him, and then he'll have his information in a Millmage format. I don't know. There will be a program to convert IDC, Vectric, etc. tool databases for mill. There will be a program to do that. Okay. What are the chances of you doing a video on how you got those dogs? That was done with AI in Canva. Canva, I've used AI to create images a lot, but ChatGPT is not an image generator. Gemini, which I've used, they're not graphics generators. They struggle. So I've been using Canva to do my thumbnails for my videos, and the Canva AI is better at generating those images. And those, I just logged on to the AI in Canva and said, hey, create me a black and white line drawing of a Pekingese suitable for laser engraving. And that was it. Done. Boom. There it is. No secret sauce, just using the right software. And I was using Canva, CANVA.com to do that. What's that channel again? The channel I'm doing with the AI, I think, is what you're referring to, and that's Intelligence Unmasked. Intelligence Unmasked. And I had an interesting conversation with it about, in fact, perfect timing. This is September the 6th. We're coming up on 9/11. I had a conversation with it a week or so ago about the conspiracy behind 9/11 and why the towers actually fell. And it was a head scratcher, an interesting conversation, because I don't believe we know the whole story. It initially promoted the narrative that they want you to believe. And as I began to question it, and its authenticity and the logic, coming at it strictly from a place of logic, not conspiracy, strictly logically thinking, how did this happen? How could it have happened? It come to its own conclusions and some really head scratchers that, yeah, it don't add up. So that's worth a watch if you haven't watched it. As you're talking about AI, have you seen Sculpt? Okay, good. I have not seen Sculpt. I haven't seen that one. Yeah, conservative settings at best. Your feeds and speeds will depend on the power and rigidity of your machine. Machine, bit, type of wood, all those things come into play. I have already tested the IDC tool database and it works. What you talking about, Willis? The IDC tool database works with MillMage. You're able to bring that into MillMage. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Are the Chinese bits really not worth using as a cheap one? Honestly, here's the thing. This is my 2 cents coming from a place of ignorance. Okay? Because I don't know. But here's my logic, here's my thinking. And I am very logical. I'm really good at coming from a place of logic. The cheap bits, they can be prone to vibration. They're weak. They can have all kinds of problems. They can create more of an issue that you're having to overcome while you're trying to learn. And if you're having to learn how to overcome the limitations of using an inferior product that you can eliminate by not using the inferior product and using the best thing that you can, so that your tool is not handicapping you. You're going to have enough handicaps learning how to do this. So why would you want additional handicaps that are being created because of using an inferior product? Then take the guarantee from IDC, where he says, if you break it, we'll replace it. Well, if you're not doing something completely and totally stupid and breaking the bits by dragging a bit across a piece of wood with pressure on it and spindle not running, or slamming it into your brackets or whatever, you're not going to be breaking bits. If you're breaking bits, it's usually because you've done something. And that will happen. You will do the a couple of times. That's how we learn not to do that. But get rid of anything that you can get rid of that's going to handicap your learning process. And using cheap bits is the first thing you should get rid of. Why bother using that? I've got them, and I did that with cheap bit. I did that with the cheap Chinese bit. We don't want to show that upside down because we're not in distress. Some of us are in distress, but I'm not. And this is some really, really dense wood. And I did this with a 20-degree V-bit. And it took a while. It took a long while to get that because I didn't use any other bit. I didn't use a rough end bit. And that was a lot of material to remove. Or did I? I take that back. I did use, I've got a bull nose that I used to take out the pocket. And then I switched and used the V-bit to do the flag because that would have been forever with the V-bit. But I did have a bull nose bit that I did the pocket with. But it's still really small. It was only an 1/8-inch ball nose, and that's a big pocket to do with an 8-inch ball nose. I don't have a rough end bit, but I will as soon as I get the funds to hook up with Garrett and get those coming. But yeah, get rid of the junk bits. Don't use anything that's going to create additional handicaps. All right. And Chris has got a little different take on it. It's like, maybe you do use them while you're, if you feel like you're going to be breaking bits one after the other, then yeah, you might don't want to be, but checklists are hugely important. Get into it, especially when you don't know what you need to be doing. Make a and IDC has a checklist that you can download and get. But if you're following a routine and you're doing everything you're supposed to, you really shouldn't be breaking bits. Shouldn't be. And I like that. Yes. Yay! I'll have to let him know that for sure. Thanks for being here, Ed. Appreciate you. Garrett will replace it even if it's your fault, but only within reasonable times. Yeah, if you're breaking them every other day, he ain't going to send you another one constantly. And yeah, those are, like I said, those are 1 millimeter stars. You see my nasty fingernails? Those are 1 millimeter. Buy the Beast of the Badger bits from bought them yesterday for roughing out. I'm going to get his starter set for the 1/8 inch spindle, and I'm thinking I'm gonna get a surfacing bit, and I'm looking at one of the compression bits, or a Jenny bit, or both. I don't know. Get the IDC checklist. I can't use the CNC without it. Yeah. Checklist was, and Garrett will even tell you, I mean, as long as he's been doing it, he still uses a checklist. When you don't use the checklist, it's when it gets you. It'll bite you. All right. Guys, gals, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. It's been a long one. I'm going to continue playing with that concept on that layered octagon basket. It might be something I get up next week. Tomorrow I'm going to have an in-depth conversation with ChatGPT about the meaning of life and see where it goes. Like I said, I started it and I kind of liked where we were headed, and so I stopped it because I wanted to say, I want to be all fresh, because it learns and it adapts. I like catching it unawares and then make it rethink. So that'll be tomorrow. And then I got to get the new channel up and going. And because I already got it last night before I called it a night, there was some pretty major losses involving the CNC. And it was not the fault was not laid at my doorstep. The fault lies at the feet of Genmitsu entirely, completely. All the losses last night are on the fault of Cubico, Genmitsu, Saint Mart. It's all their fault, not mine at all. And it needs to be a video that everyone who gets a Cubico sees and watches and aware of, so they can prevent this loss from happening to them. It needs to go viral. That's what it needs to do. So that'll be the first video, and it'll be up first of the week. All right, guys. Have a good night to everybody, and we will see you in we'll see you in the next channel. We'll see you in a video soon. All right, have a good one. We're out.